Hello and welcome to this video. Thank you for watching. In this video, we will look at what was the first century church's belief concerning the Antichrist, the false prophet, and the end times in general. The first century church already had a general understanding and knowledge regarding the Antichrist, the false prophet, as well as how more or less the return of Christ would take place. Now, we're not going to cover everything that the first century church knew about this subject, but we will just look at those scriptures which will help us in our understanding of the mark of the beast. The book of Revelation, and especially what we find in Revelation 13, wasn't the first word that the first century church received regarding this subject. Revelation only deepened their understanding about this subject, and it gave them more detail as to what they already knew then. The main points in their understanding on this subject were that many kinds of antichrists and false prophets had already been there since the inception of the early church, and that they would continue to be present and would be at work throughout the rest of human history in order to draw as much as possible people away from God. And also that these spirits of antichrists and false prophets would later in history be personified in one or more human beings that would be the culmination of all that is anti-God, and through whom satanic evil would be manifested to its fullest. This wicked manifestation would then indicate or confirm the very imminence of the Lord's second coming. The following passages, which we're going to look at, indicate the first century church's understanding of what I've just mentioned. The verses of these books we're going to look at existed and were well known to the first century church long before the book of Revelation came along. So let's look at these passages. The first passage is Matthew 24 verse 4, and it reads, "And Jesus answered and said to them," it was to his disciples that he spoke, "Take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many." Matthew 24 verse 11. "Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many." Matthew 24 verse 4. "For false Christs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect." The elect that's spoken here of are the saints, the Christians, those who believe in Jesus Christ already. 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 3 to 5 says, "Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day is the coming of the Lord. For that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition," of which we know that is the Antichrist, "who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Do you not remember that when I was still with you that I told you these things?" 1 John 2 verse 18. "Little children, it is the last hour. And as you have heard that the Antichrist is coming, even now many Antichrists have come, by which we know that it is the last hour." 1 John 2 verse 22. "Who is the liar But he who denies that Jesus is the Christ, he is the Antichrist who denies the Father and the Son. 1 John 4 verse 3. And every spirit that does not confess that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have heard was coming and is now already in the world. 2 John 1 verse 7. For many deceivers have gone out into the world who do not confess Jesus Christ as coming in the flesh. This is the deceiver and an antichrist. There are also some other verses that we're not going to read now, but I will just give you their addresses. You can read the whole of 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 3 to 12. You can read also Mark 13 verse 6 and verse 21 to 22. Also Acts 20 verse 29 to 30. 1 Timothy 4 verse 1 to 3. 2 Timothy 3 verse 1 to 6 and 4 verse 3 to 4. And 2 Peter 2 verse 1. In our next video and the videos thereafter, we will look into greater depth into what's going on in Revelation 13 itself. So please join me in the next video.